How to recreate yourself. Like a Stoic. Full guide. Let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever felt stuck? Not just in your career or relationships, but in the way you think about life? Maybe you're walking through your days on autopilot, feeling like you're living someone else's version of your life, following routines, meeting expectations, chasing things that don't really fulfill you. Yeah, I get it. I've been there too. In fact, that was the exact moment when I realized something crucial. I didn't have to keep living this way. You can recreate yourself. You can reshape your entire mindset, your habits, and the way you approach everything from work to your inner peace. The best part: you don't need to make a drastic overnight change. This doesn't require reinventing the wheel. It simply requires you to reconnect with the core of who you really are and strip away everything that's blocking your true potential. But here's the kicker. It's not about some quick fix or a flashy trend. It's about embracing a philosophy that stood the test of time for over 2,000 years. Stoicism. Now, don't roll your eyes. I know the word philosophy might sound a bit dry or even intimidating, but trust me, Stoicism isn't about sitting in a dark room, contemplating the meaning of life while ignoring everything around you. It's a practical, no-nonsense guide to taking control of your mind, your emotions, and your actions. I'm talking about real, lasting change, not just feeling good in the moment, but creating a life that feels aligned with your deepest values. Stoicism shows us how to deal with the inevitable difficulties of life, without losing our minds or our happiness. How to act with integrity, even when the world's pulling us in 100 different directions. And how to find peace in a world that's anything but peaceful. By the end of this guide, I want you to feel empowered to remake yourself into the best version of you, one that's resilient, purposeful, and unshakably grounded in your own values. So, how do we begin? It starts with redefining your mindset. We're going to strip back everything you think you know about success, happiness, and life in general. Because the truth is, you already have everything you need to create the life you want. You just need the right tools and the right perspective, and that's exactly what Stoicism offers. Ready to start? Let's dive in, because the person you were meant to become is waiting for you. Part 1. What does it mean to recreate yourself? We hear a lot about reinventing ourselves these days, right? New Year's resolutions, self-help books, Instagram posts, all about becoming a new version of yourself. But here's the catch. Recreating yourself doesn't mean starting from scratch. It's not about creating someone new out of thin air. It's about peeling away all the layers of external noise, self-doubt, and societal pressure that have been covering up who you really are. At its core, recreating yourself means reconnecting with your most authentic self, getting rid of everything that no longer serves you, and embracing the truth of who you're meant to be. And that starts with one fundamental question. Who are you really? Not who you think you should be, or who society wants you to be, but the person who's been inside you all along. You see, we're all born with this raw potential, but over time, the world starts layering its expectations on us. Family, friends, school, society, they all tell us what to do, what to value, and what to care about. The more we listen to those voices, the further we drift from our true selves. So, the real question is, how do you strip away all that noise and get back to the core of who you are? That's where Stoicism comes in. Part 2. The foundation of Stoic philosophy. Before we dive into the tools and strategies, let's get on the same page about what Stoicism is. I'm not asking you to become a philosopher who sits in a toga all day contemplating life. What I am asking is this. Do you want a philosophy that helps you stay calm when life gets tough, make better decisions, and ultimately, live with more meaning and purpose? If your answer is yes, then Stoicism is about to become your best friend. Here's the quick version of what Stoicism is all about. Stoicism is a school of philosophy that was founded over 2,000 years ago by a man named Zeno of Citium in ancient Greece. But don't let the history part fool you. It's one of the most practical philosophies you'll ever come across. The core idea: we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it. Stoics focus on developing wisdom, self-control, and virtue. It's about accepting the things we cannot change, the weather, the actions of others, the past, and focusing our energy on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our emotional responses. Let me put this in a way that might hit closer to home. You can't control what people say to you, but you can control how you respond. You can't control what's going to happen in the future, but you can control how you prepare for it. And here's the big one. You can't control the hand life deals you, but you can control how you play your cards. Doesn't that sound freeing? The Stoic way of thinking frees you from the constant struggle of trying to control everything around you. It gives you the ability to stay calm in chaos and make decisions from a place of inner strength, not external pressure. The 3 disciplines of Stoicism. Now, let's break down Stoicism into 3 key disciplines that will help you recreate yourself. These are the pillars that will support your transformation. The discipline of perception. This is all about how you view the world, how you interpret events, how you respond to challenges, and how you perceive yourself. Most of us live life on autopilot, reacting emotionally to whatever comes our way. But Stoics teach us that we have control over our perceptions. You can change the way you see the world. Example: let's say you lose your job. Most people would panic, feel anxious, and think, "What now?" But a Stoic would ask, "What can I learn from this? How can this help me grow?" The Stoic mindset doesn't ignore challenges, it reframes them. They don't see setbacks as failures, they see them as opportunities to become stronger. The discipline of action. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's about how you act in the world. Stoicism teaches us that we are responsible for our actions, and our actions should align with our values. No excuses. Example: think about a time when you had to make a tough decision. You knew the right thing to do, but maybe it was uncomfortable or difficult. A Stoic doesn't shy away from doing what's right. They take action based on their principles, not their fears or desires. This discipline is about taking responsibility and acting with intention. When you do this, you start to feel more in control of your life because you know that your actions are aligned with your values. The discipline of will. This is all about building inner strength, your ability to resist temptation, stay grounded in your values, and endure hardship without losing your peace. The Stoic willpower isn't about forcing yourself into a mold of perfection or success. It's about developing resilience in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Example: imagine going through a difficult breakup. Most people would drown in emotions, maybe even spiral into depression. But a Stoic would accept the pain, process it, and move forward with the understanding that this too shall pass, and they will come out stronger. This discipline helps you maintain your composure, even when things are tough. It's about training your mind to stay strong and unwavering, no matter what life throws at you. My personal takeaway: why Stoicism changed everything for me. When I first encountered Stoicism, I was a little skeptical. It seemed almost too simple. But once I started applying these principles, I realized how much I had been complicating my life. I used to think I had to control everything: the people around me, my circumstances, even how others saw me. But over time, I learned that the only thing I had to control was myself. And that shift in perspective? It was life-changing. I stopped worrying about what I couldn't change. I stopped letting the chaos of the world dictate how I felt. And most importantly, I stopped waiting for someone or something else to change my life. I realized that I held the power to reshape my future, and it started with mastering my mind. This is the essence of what Stoicism teaches. You have the power to transform your life. It's all about how you choose to see the world, how you take action, and how you build the strength to stay grounded no matter what. Part 3. Preparing your mindset for transformation. All right, so now you understand the basics of Stoic philosophy, how it focuses on controlling what you can and letting go of what you can't. But here's the thing. None of this works unless you first shift your mindset. I know, mindset. It's one of those buzzwords, right? Everyone's talking about it, but no one really explains how to actually change your mindset. So let's break it down and make it simple. Your mindset is the lens through which you see the world. And if that lens is cracked or cloudy, your entire perspective will be distorted. You'll misinterpret situations, overreact to problems, and live life on autopilot. This is exactly why, if you want to recreate yourself, you need to start by shifting the way you think. The importance of self-awareness. So, how do you begin? Self-awareness. It sounds easy, but it's actually one of the hardest things to cultivate. Most of us are so busy reacting to life's distractions that we forget to check in with ourselves. We don't pause to ask, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What am I really thinking? This is where Stoicism really shines. Stoics were masters of self-reflection. They weren't obsessed with positive thinking or pretending that everything's fine when it's not. Instead, they focused on understanding their emotions and thoughts so that they could respond consciously, not react emotionally. Here's a simple exercise to start cultivating self-awareness. Set aside 10 minutes each day to sit quietly and just notice your thoughts. Don't try to force any specific thoughts or judge yourself. Just observe. What are you thinking about? What's bothering you? What are you focusing on? Notice how you feel. Anxious, happy, frustrated, excited. This small act of observing your own mind without judgment is a huge step towards self-mastery. And from this place of awareness, you'll start to realize that you don't have to be controlled by your emotions. You can observe them, understand them, and choose how to respond. Mindset shifts for Stoic living. So, now that you're a little more aware of your thoughts, let's make some real shifts. These are the kinds of mindset changes that will set you on the path to recreating yourself. Reframe your problems. One of the first mindset shifts Stoicism encourages is reframing. When a problem arises, instead of seeing it as a disaster, ask yourself, how can this challenge help me grow? Example, lost your job? Instead of panicking, ask, what skills can I develop now? How can I use this time to learn something new? Detach from external validation. A huge part of recreating yourself is realizing that you don't need anyone's approval to be who you are. Most of us spend a lot of time and energy trying to fit into society's mold, whether it's about our appearance, career, or relationships. Stoicism teaches us that true contentment comes from within. You get to decide your own worth, so start asking, am I living according to my values? Or am I trying to meet someone else's expectations? Accept what you can't control. This is probably the hardest Stoic lesson to learn. There are things you can't control, and there are things you can. The weather, traffic, people's opinions, all outside your control. What is in your control? Your actions, your choices, your mindset. By embracing this idea, you'll stop wasting energy on things you can't change and start putting that energy into what you can actually do something about. Practice gratitude for what you have. We tend to focus on what we don't have. More money, a bigger house, a better job. Stoicism teaches us to flip that perspective. Start appreciating what's right in front of you. Think about it. Are you healthy? Do you have a roof over your head? Are there people who love you? If you start focusing on what you have instead of what's missing, your mindset will shift dramatically. Personal takeaway: transforming your thoughts. I'll be honest, I didn't get this right immediately. It took time. But when I started reframing my thoughts and accepting the things I couldn't control, something amazing happened. I started to feel more empowered. Instead of letting the little inconveniences of life throw me off, I started to view them as opportunities to practice patience and self-control. When I stopped expecting the world to always meet my demands, I realized how much peace came from simply accepting things as they were. And the best part? As I made these mindset shifts, I found myself taking more intentional action. I wasn't just reacting to life anymore, I was actively shaping it. Part 4. The power of acceptance, embracing what you can't control. All right, now we're diving into a concept that's crucial to both Stoicism and to creating real, lasting change in your life: acceptance. I'm not talking about passive acceptance, where you just sit back and let life happen to you. No, I'm talking about the active acceptance that Stoics practiced. The kind of acceptance that doesn't mean you give up, but instead, you acknowledge what's beyond your control, so you can focus your energy on what you can control. The Stoic practice of amor fati, love of fate. The Stoics believed in a concept called amor fati, which translates to love of fate. But it doesn't just mean accepting things as they are. It means embracing everything that happens to you, both the good and the bad, as necessary and even beautiful. Sounds a little crazy, right? Love the bad stuff. Love the pain, the heartbreak, the struggle. But here's the thing. The Stoics didn't see life's challenges as obstacles. They saw them as opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more virtuous. If you can truly embrace all of life, both the beautiful and the painful, you free yourself from resistance. You stop wasting energy wishing things were different, and you start living with more peace. Think about it. Life throws curveballs all the time. People leave, jobs end, health declines. But what if you could embrace those moments, not with frustration, but with an understanding that this too is part of the journey? This doesn't mean you won't grieve or struggle, but it means that in the midst of hardship, you won't lose your inner peace. How acceptance leads to freedom. The real freedom comes when you let go of the need to control everything. When you stop fighting life's flow, you start moving with it. This is where the power of acceptance comes in. For instance, let's say something goes wrong, your project at work falls apart, or your plans for the weekend get canceled. Most people would immediately feel upset, angry, or stressed. But the Stoic response is different. You don't attach to the emotion. Instead, you ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? This doesn't mean you're okay with everything that happens, but it does mean you're not going to let it define you or ruin your day. Your peace of mind becomes independent of the external world. Personal takeaway: the power of letting go. When I first started applying this, I was amazed at how much mental energy I was wasting on things I couldn't control. I used to stress about my plans falling through, other people's opinions, or situations that weren't in my hands. But when I started practicing amor fati, I found myself letting go of so much unnecessary tension. I realized that peace didn't come from trying to manipulate every situation. It came from accepting each moment as it was. Sure, it still stings when things don't go as planned, but I no longer let it ruin my whole perspective. And that's what Stoicism teaches us. Acceptance isn't resignation. It's the ultimate form of empowerment. Part 5. Building resilience. Through adversity. All right, we've talked about shifting your mindset, accepting what you can't control, and cultivating self-awareness. But now we're entering the realm that I think a lot of people fear when it comes to change: adversity. We all go through hard times. Life is unpredictable. Whether it's a sudden setback, a major life change, or just the daily struggles we face, adversity is a part of everyone's journey. But here's the catch: adversity is the perfect opportunity for growth. And if you truly want to recreate yourself, you'll need to build the resilience to face adversity head-on. But how? The Stoic response to adversity. The obstacle is the way. One of the most famous Stoic concepts is the idea that the obstacle is the way. This comes from the writings of Marcus Aurelius, who believed that every challenge, every obstacle you face, is not something to avoid, but something to embrace and learn from. It's easy to want to run from pain or difficulty. We often think that if life would just give us a break, then we could finally be happy or successful. But what Stoicism teaches is that there is no success without struggle. Every obstacle you face is shaping you, teaching you, and giving you the opportunity to grow. Think about it this way: if you're running a marathon and you hit a wall, you have two choices. You can either stop and quit, or you can push through and find a way to keep going. The pain isn't the enemy. The pain is the teacher. The Stoic way isn't about avoiding hardship, but about embracing it as part of the journey. Reframing adversity as an opportunity. The next time you face a challenge, ask yourself this: what can I learn from this? I know it sounds counterintuitive. Who wants to learn from a failure, right? But here's the thing: every setback is a lesson wrapped in discomfort. It might be painful at first, but you have to look for the lesson. Whether it's patience, perseverance, or clarity, the challenges you face reveal the areas of your life that need the most attention. For example, let's say you go through a tough breakup. Normally, people would spiral into a negative thought cycle. I'm not good enough. I'll never find love. This is the end of my happiness. But a Stoic reframes the situation. This relationship taught me what I value in a partner. It taught me what I need to work on in myself. By reframing adversity, you shift the energy from defeat to empowerment. The more you practice this, the more resilient you become. You start to see life's hardships as moments of growth rather than obstacles to your happiness. Building resilience with Stoic practices. Negative visualization. Premeditatio malorum. This practice sounds a bit dark, but trust me, it's incredibly powerful. Negative visualization is about imagining the worst-case scenario before it happens. The idea is that by mentally preparing for the worst, you can handle life's surprises with more grace and calm. For example, before an important event, you might ask yourself, what would happen if I completely failed? What would I do? The goal isn't to dwell on negativity. It's to prepare yourself mentally so that if things go wrong, you're less rattled. You'll be more resilient, and you'll realize that you're capable of handling much more than you think. Daily reflection and journaling. This one is huge for Stoics. Every day, Marcus Aurelius would write in his journal, reflecting on what went well, what went wrong, and how he could improve. You can do the same thing. At the end of each day, write down, what was the biggest challenge you faced today? How did you respond? Did you stay true to your values? What can you learn from today's experience? This simple practice of reflection helps you become aware of your growth, keeps you accountable, and strengthens your mental resilience over time. Personal takeaway. Resilience through failure. I've had my fair share of setbacks. Trust me. Early in my career, I faced failure after failure, and it was incredibly disheartening. There were times when I thought about giving up, but looking back now, I realize that every failure shaped me into who I am today. Without those tough moments, I wouldn't have learned the lessons that ultimately propelled me forward. Now, I actively seek out challenges because I know they're opportunities in disguise. It's like lifting weights. The more you push yourself, the stronger you get. So when things don't go as planned, I no longer panic or get angry. I see it as part of the process. And that's how you build true resilience. Part 6. Taking action, turning philosophy into real change. Okay, now that you've got the mindset shifts, the practices, and the resilience to weather life's storms, we're ready for the next step. Taking action. Because let's face it, Stoic philosophy isn't worth anything unless you do something with it. This is where a lot of people fall short. They read about Stoicism. They learn about its principles, but they don't actually apply them. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you're not taking action, it's just theory. It's just words on a page. So how do you turn all this Stoic wisdom into real change? Start with small, consistent actions. The key to making Stoicism work for you isn't about making giant changes overnight. It's about taking small, consistent actions. Every little step you take toward embodying Stoic principles brings you closer to your goal of recreating yourself. For example, let's say you want to be more resilient. Instead of waiting for a major setback, start by intentionally putting yourself in mildly uncomfortable situations. Challenge yourself every day. It could be as simple as starting a difficult conversation or taking on a task that scares you. Every time you do this, you're strengthening your resilience. Act with purpose. Every decision you make, every action you take, should be rooted in your values. As a Stoic, you're not just reacting to life. You're choosing your response based on what you believe is important. When you wake up every morning, ask yourself, what is my purpose today? Make sure that the actions you take align with that purpose. Be consistent. Not perfect progress isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. There will be days when you slip up, when you get frustrated, when you don't feel like following through. And that's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up. The Stoics didn't expect themselves to be perfect. They just aimed to be better than they were yesterday. Build small habits. If you want to reshape yourself, it starts with building tiny habits. These might seem small, but over time, they compound into massive change. For example, if you want to be more resilient, start by practicing gratitude every day. Or if you want to be more disciplined, start by making your bed every morning. Something small but powerful that sets the tone for the day. Personal takeaway: action brings clarity. When I first started applying Stoic principles, I thought I had to have it all figured out right away. But the truth is, action brings clarity. The more I acted on what I believed, the more clear I became about who I really wanted to be. It wasn't about waiting for the perfect moment to start. It was about doing something, anything, that moved me in the right direction. That's how change happens. You don't wait for a magical transformation. You act, you learn, and you improve. Every day is a new opportunity to take action toward recreating yourself. Part 7. Building meaningful relationships. Stoicism and social connections. Okay, we've talked a lot about your inner world, your mindset, your resilience, and your personal growth. But let's take a step back and address something that's just as important: your relationships with others. You've probably heard the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And while that may sound a bit cliché, there's real truth in it. The people you surround yourself with shape the way you think, act, and even feel. So, if you're serious about recreating yourself, about becoming the best version of you, then it's time to examine your relationships. Stoicism isn't just about internal peace. It's also about creating connections that align with your values, foster growth, and help you thrive. Stoicism and social virtue. One of the key aspects of Stoic philosophy is the idea of virtue, which is essentially living in accordance with your values and the greater good. For the Stoics, virtue wasn't just about personal development, it was about how we interact with others and contribute to society. In fact, one of the most profound things I learned from Stoicism is that we're all interconnected. Whether we like it or not, our actions and choices have a ripple effect on the people around us. So, how can you cultivate meaningful, positive relationships that elevate both you and those you interact with? Cultivating wise, supportive friendships. The Stoics placed a lot of emphasis on the importance of surrounding yourself with wise and virtuous people. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all stressed that good friends are people who help you grow, challenge you, and remind you of your principles, especially when you stray from them. This doesn't mean you should cut off everyone who isn't a Stoic or who doesn't align perfectly with your values, but it does mean you should be intentional about the relationships you nurture. Are the people in your life lifting you up or dragging you down? Do they challenge you to be your best self, or do they encourage unhealthy habits and mindsets? Here are some things to consider when evaluating your relationships. Do they align with your values? Surround yourself with people who share similar principles, or who at least support your journey of personal growth. Wise people will inspire you to think critically, improve your character, and focus on what truly matters. Do they support your growth or enable your weaknesses? Friends should help you become better, not keep you stuck in bad habits. A good friend challenges you to be better, holds you accountable, and encourages you to pursue the bigger vision for your life. Do they bring out the best in you? Think about how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel more energized, more motivated, more peaceful, or do you feel drained, confused, or frustrated? Stoic practices for healthy relationships. While the Stoics didn't focus heavily on friendship in the modern sense, their teachings give us clear guidelines for how to approach social interactions in a meaningful, virtuous way. Here are a few practices that can help you improve your relationships. Practice empathy and understanding. The Stoics believed in seeing things from the other person's perspective, not as a way to excuse bad behavior, but as a way to better understand their actions. When someone irritates you or does something that feels unfair, stop and ask yourself, what's their perspective? What's going on in their life that might be influencing their behavior? By practicing empathy, you disarm negative emotions like anger or frustration. You become more patient, more tolerant, and more understanding. Be the example you want to see. If you want others to treat you with respect, kindness, and understanding, you have to be the one to set the standard. This means being consistent in how you treat people, whether it's family, coworkers, or strangers. Show up with honesty, integrity, and compassion, and you'll likely inspire the same behavior in others. Let go of toxic relationships. There's no easy way to say this, but sometimes we have to let go of relationships that no longer serve us, whether it's a friend who constantly brings you down or a partner who doesn't respect your boundaries. The Stoic perspective is simple. You can't control others, but you can control who you let into your life. This doesn't mean being cold or judgmental. It means prioritizing your peace, well-being, and growth. Don't waste energy on relationships that drain you. Focus instead on cultivating connections that align with your values and help you grow. Personal takeaway: the role of meaningful relationships in transformation. When I started applying Stoic principles to my relationships, I noticed a huge difference. I became more mindful about who I spent time with and how those people influenced my state of mind. Over time, I realized that the most fulfilling relationships in my life were those that helped me grow, not just in my career, but in my personal life and character. I began setting better boundaries, letting go of relationships that were draining, and consciously seeking out those who encouraged me to be better. As I did this, I felt lighter, more supported, and more inspired to be my true self. Part 8. Living with purpose, defining your why. We've done a lot of work around mindset, relationships, and resilience. But now we need to address the heart of your transformation, your purpose. Without a clear sense of purpose, everything we've discussed so far will feel like aimless drifting. It's like setting sail without a map. You might get somewhere, but it probably won't be where you want to go. The Stoics were deeply invested in the idea of living with purpose. For them, life wasn't about simply surviving or reacting to the world. It was about creating meaning through deliberate, purposeful action. They believed that everyone has a role to play in life, and that understanding your role is one of the keys to living a fulfilling life. The Stoic approach to purpose. The Stoics didn't necessarily believe in a grand purpose in the sense that we often think about it today, like finding your dream job or life's mission. Instead, their view of purpose was more about doing what's right, every day, in every situation. Purpose isn't something you chase or wait for. It's something you create by living in accordance with your values. For example, Marcus Aurelius didn't become emperor of Rome because he was chasing fame. He saw his role as an emperor as a duty to help others, to bring justice, and to lead with virtue. His purpose was clear. It was to serve, protect, and guide his people. So, how do you define your purpose in life? Using Stoic principles. Know your values. Your purpose starts with your core values. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? Your purpose is a reflection of the things you care about most deeply, whether it's integrity, kindness, creativity, or justice. Ask yourself, what do I want to contribute to the world? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? Align your actions with your values. Purpose isn't something you just think about. It's something you live out through your daily actions. Once you identify what you value, make sure that your actions align with those values. If you say you care about helping others, are you actively seeking out ways to do so? If you value learning, are you dedicating time to self-education? Find fulfillment in the present. It's easy to think that purpose is something that only exists in the future, when you've made it or achieved a major goal. But the Stoics remind us that purpose is found in the present moment, through the choices we make right now. So, instead of waiting for the perfect opportunity to live your purpose, ask yourself, what's one small thing I can do today that brings me closer to living with purpose? Personal takeaway. Living with purpose transforms. Everything for me, finding purpose was a game changer. At first, I thought it was something I had to find outside of myself, like it was this big, elusive goal that only a few lucky people get to discover. But over time, I realized that purpose is something you cultivate every single day. It's in the little decisions, the way you show up for others, and the actions you take that align with your values. The more I focused on living with purpose, the more clarity I gained about who I wanted to be and what I wanted to accomplish. It wasn't about a grand mission. It was about creating meaning through the way I lived. Part 9. The Art of Acceptance. Letting go of what you cannot control. We've covered mindset shifts, resilience, relationships, and purpose. But there's one more critical aspect of recreating yourself as a Stoic: acceptance. And I know that word, acceptance, can feel a little heavy. It's like we're being told to just give up, roll over, and let life happen. But that's not what we're talking about here. Stoic acceptance is a powerful practice that gives you control over your response to the world, even if you can't control the world itself. What Stoicism teaches about control. One of the core teachings of Stoic philosophy is the dichotomy of control. The Stoics believed that there are two kinds of things in life: things you can control and things you cannot. Here's the tricky part. Most of us spend an overwhelming amount of time and energy trying to control the things we can't. We obsess over other people's opinions, we stress about the future, we ruminate on past mistakes. And the truth is, we don't have control over any of that. What we do have control over, what we can choose to control, is how we respond to these things. We can choose our mindset, our reactions, and our actions. The Stoics would argue that the path to peace and personal power is recognizing the difference between the two and then letting go of everything that's out of your hands. The power of acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing when life throws challenges your way. Rather, it means acknowledging that there are some things you simply can't control and then choosing to focus on the things you can. For instance, imagine you've been working hard on a project, and despite your best efforts, it doesn't turn out the way you expected. You might feel frustrated, disappointed, or even defeated. But in the Stoic mindset, this situation is an opportunity to practice acceptance. You can acknowledge your feelings, but also recognize that the outcome was never fully in your hands. What you can control is how you learn from it and how you move forward. Here are a few practical steps to practice acceptance. Identify what you can and can't control. This is a powerful exercise that can help you mentally declutter your thoughts. Take a moment to reflect on the current challenges in your life. What aspects are completely outside your control? What parts can you actually do something about? Once you make that distinction, it becomes a lot easier to focus your energy where it will be most effective. Let go of the need for perfection. Stoicism teaches that imperfection is part of life. There is no such thing as the perfect outcome, and perfectionism often leads to unnecessary frustration. By letting go of the need to control every detail or outcome, you free yourself to take imperfect action and accept what comes without judgment. Use difficulties as opportunities. When life gets tough, don't fight it. Embrace it. Every difficulty you face is a chance to grow. Instead of resisting the discomfort, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? Practice. Mindfulness. Being mindful of your thoughts and feelings helps you recognize when you're starting to get caught up in things beyond your control. When you find yourself worrying about the future or replaying past mistakes, gently bring yourself back to the present moment. The Stoic Serenity Prayer. Letting go and finding peace. One of the most famous prayers that embodies this concept is the Serenity Prayer, which is commonly associated with Stoic thinking. It goes like this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This simple prayer encapsulates the Stoic ideal: acceptance of what you can't control, the courage to act on what you can, and the wisdom to discern between the two. Personal takeaway: the power of letting go. For me, this was a game changer. I used to spend so much time stressing over things that were completely out of my control, whether it was someone else's opinion of me, unexpected life events, or things that simply didn't go my way. And the more I tried to control them, the more miserable I became. But once I started practicing Stoic acceptance, something shifted. I began to realize that the only thing I could truly control was my own response. Now, when things don't go according to plan, I still feel disappointment or frustration, but I don't linger on it. I allow myself to feel those emotions and then let them go, focusing instead on how I can respond with wisdom and grace. Part 10. Practicing Daily Stoicism. A Guide for Lasting Change. All right, we've explored the theory, the mindsets, the values, and the action steps. But here's the thing: a one-time shift isn't enough. To truly recreate yourself as a Stoic, you have to make these principles a part of your daily life. Stoicism isn't something you practice just when it's convenient. It's something you embody in every moment, every interaction, and every choice. So, how do you keep this going? How do you make Stoic philosophy a lifestyle, rather than just a set of nice ideas? 1. Create a Stoic morning routine. Your day starts the moment you wake up, and your morning sets the tone for the rest of it. The Stoics had a few simple practices that helped them stay grounded and focused. Here's a basic Stoic morning routine you can try. Start with gratitude. Begin the day by acknowledging a few things you're grateful for. This primes your mind to focus on what you already have instead of what you lack. Visualize challenges. As we talked about earlier, negative visualization is an essential Stoic practice. Take a few moments to mentally prepare for the challenges you might face today. Ask yourself, what might go wrong today? How can I handle it gracefully? Set your intentions. Think about how you want to show up today. What values do you want to embody? What is your purpose for today? What do you want to accomplish? 2. Reflect and journal. We've touched on this before, but I can't emphasize enough how powerful daily reflection is for growth. The Stoics were big on journaling. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote in his personal journal, "Meditations every single day." You don't need to write a novel every day, but taking a few minutes in the evening to reflect on your day is incredibly powerful. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short, and why? What lessons can I take from today? Did I stay true to my values? This practice helps you learn from each day, track your progress, and hold yourself accountable. 3. Embrace the Stoic pause. One of the most important habits you can develop is the Stoic pause. This is the practice of taking a breath before reacting to a situation. When someone cuts you off in traffic or sends a passive-aggressive comment your way, instead of reacting impulsively, you pause, you breathe, and then you choose how to respond with wisdom rather than emotion. The more you practice this pause, the easier it becomes to respond with calm and intention, rather than with anger, frustration, or defensiveness. 4. End your day with reflection and gratitude. Just as your morning sets the tone for your day, your evening routine will help you close the day with peace and purpose. Before you go to bed, take a few minutes to reflect. What went well today? What didn't go as planned, and how can I improve? What did I learn about myself today? And then end your day with gratitude. Even if the day wasn't perfect, there's always something to be thankful for. Gratitude grounds you, and it reinforces the mindset of abundance. Personal takeaway: Stoicism as a lifestyle. I've found that when I integrate Stoicism into my daily routine, it doesn't feel like a heavy burden or something I need to work on. It feels natural. Stoicism has become part of my mindset and my behavior, which makes it easier to maintain composure, clarity, and a sense of purpose in any situation. At first, it was hard to make it a consistent habit, but over time, I've learned that small daily practices are what create lasting change. It's not about perfect execution, it's about consistently showing up for yourself and your growth. Conclusion: embracing the Stoic path to recreate yourself. All right, we've covered a lot of ground. From reshaping your mindset and cultivating resilience, to developing meaningful relationships and defining your purpose, we've dug deep into how to recreate yourself as a Stoic. But now, as we reach the end of this guide, I want to remind you of something crucial. Stoicism isn't about perfection. It's not about having everything figured out or being an ideal version of yourself at all times. It's about striving to live with integrity, wisdom, and purpose, no matter what life throws at you. The Stoic path is a lifelong journey of self-improvement. It's about choosing how you react to the world, how you show up for yourself and others, and how you live in alignment with your core values. You're going to face challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt along the way, and that's okay. In fact, those are the moments where Stoicism really shines. It's in those tough times that you have the opportunity to grow, learn, and embody the very principles you've been cultivating. Key takeaways for your journey. Let's quickly recap the core ideas from this guide. so you can take them with you as you continue your path to recreating yourself. Master your mindset. Your mindset is the foundation of everything. Focus on the things you can control, let go of the things you can't, and always seek to improve your ability to choose your thoughts and reactions. By changing the way you think, you change the way you experience life. Build resilience. Life will always throw curveballs. But as a Stoic, you have the power to choose how you respond. Cultivate resilience through mindfulness, self-discipline, and a commitment to growth. The more you practice, the more unshakable you become. Nurture meaningful relationships. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, challenge you to be your best self, and align with your values. Build connections based on mutual respect, trust, and shared principles, and let go of toxic relationships that drain your energy. Live with purpose. Identify what matters most to you, and let that guide your actions. Don't wait for purpose to find you. Create it by living with integrity and intention every single day. Your purpose doesn't have to be grand, but it should be meaningful and true to who you are. Practice acceptance. Life is full of uncertainties and challenges. Stoicism teaches you to accept what's beyond your control and focus on your response. By letting go of the need to control everything, you free yourself to live with peace and clarity. Make Stoicism a daily habit. The key to lasting transformation is consistency. Integrate Stoic practices into your daily routine, whether through morning rituals, journaling, or mindful reflection. Make Stoicism not just a philosophy you study, but a way of living. Final thoughts. Your transformation is ongoing. Now, I want to leave you with this. Recreating yourself is an ongoing process. There will always be more to learn, more to refine, and more to grow into. But if you commit to living with Stoic principles in mind, you will find yourself becoming stronger, wiser, and more at peace with who you are and who you're becoming. You're not recreating yourself in the sense of completely changing who you are. Instead, you're uncovering the person you've always been, beneath the distractions, the fears, and the doubts. Stoicism will help you shed the noise and connect to your truest self, and as you do, you'll find that you have more power, peace, and purpose than you ever imagined. Remember, the Stoic journey isn't about perfection or success. It's about growth. Every day, you have the chance to make small improvements, to take small actions that move you closer to the life you want to create. So, are you ready? Ready to embrace this path and start living your life with intention, strength, and wisdom. The journey is yours, and it starts now. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I want to thank you for sticking with me through this deep dive into Stoicism. If any of this resonated with you, if it inspired you to take action or rethink your life, then I'm thrilled to have shared this with you. The Stoic path isn't easy, but it's worth it. It's the path of true freedom. Freedom from external chaos, from unnecessary worries, and from the need to constantly chase after things outside yourself. If you want to dive deeper, keep learning, and stay connected with this community. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment below and let me know what Stoic principle you're excited to apply to your life. I'd love to hear about your journey. Until next time, stay strong, stay wise, and keep moving forward.